Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight to breaking news, and a man has been charged with murder after an incident in central Hobart yesterday. For more, we cross to reporter Josh Duggan. Josh, who's been charged?
Kim, a 52-year-old man from Hobart has been charged with murder. He'll face a magistrate later this evening. Police attended a disturbance at a private residence on Liverpool Street yesterday afternoon around 3:30. They found a 51-year-old man with head wounds who was transported to the Royal Hobart Hospital, where he sadly died earlier today. Police believe the two men do know each other, so they are calling for anyone with any information to get in touch with them. Kim?
Intrusive, violating and invasive. That's one new mother's account of giving birth at the Northwest Private Hospital. And she's not on her own, with calls getting louder for urgent change to the region's current sole birthing facility.
Left feeling dehumanised and shut out was far from what Alina Evans and Amy Ramsey had envisioned when welcoming their babies into the world.
I wasn't aware that I was going to have my waters broken when they were broken, which was incredibly intrusive and invasive and violating.
It certainly is a problem that there is not enough staff. That's absolutely a problem. But there's also obstetric violence going on that's not being addressed, and it's been really invalidating to not have that addressed.
Months on, their traumatic memories as public patients inside the Northwest Private are hard to erase.
It's impacted my mothering. Some days are better than others. I find that I'm quite hypervigilant with her.
I've just been anxious and stressed and dealing with nightmares and flashbacks.
Feeling they weren't listened to throughout the process, and both claiming they faced repeated unprofessional behaviour by a midwife at the time.
She came in and told me that my pain was my fault, that I had gotten the epidural too early and I hadn't even been in labour.
Public maternity services at the hospital will be transferred to the Northwest Regional in 2024. Labor's backing a campaign to do it as soon as possible.
It is important to put your pride aside and do what is right. And I'm calling on the Premier today to rethink this and speed this up, because women on the Northwest Coast deserve better.
We want to make sure that women who are having children, this most pivotal moment in a woman's life, are cared for and looked after beautifully.
Asked about Alina and Amy's experience, Northwest Private's CEO encouraged patients who have an issue with the care they receive to lodge a formal complaint with the hospital. Also directing those who feel healthcare workers have acted outside the professional boundaries to report it to Australia's Health Practitioner Regulatory Agency. Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
Nearly 6 months after a second cancer treatment machine was unveiled at the Northwest Regional, it's still sitting idle. The Health Services Union says there aren't enough radiation therapists in the area to operate the $3 million linear accelerator machine, which they believe is due to low wages.
We will continue to see patients either having to travel to Launceston for cancer services or to have delayed treatment, and both of those situations are totally unacceptable.
The Department of Health was contacted for comment. There has been an improvement to the state's bottom line, revealed in the mid-year budget update. This year's net operating balance has improved by $125 million, expected to be a $350 million deficit. Our estimated total net debt in 2026 has also been revised down by $1.4 billion. Why? Well, it's due to better than expected GST payments from the federal government. But the property slump has caused a drop in tax revenue, and the recent public sector pay deals are adding $340 million over the next 4 years. The Local Government Association is calling for stronger protection for home buyers. It wants mandatory land information certificates to replace the current buyer beware system, with the state opposition joining the push.
Single mum Denise saw her hard work finally materialise, buying a place to call home last April. But 8 weeks later, her new homeowner high came crashing down.
My son came up from downstairs and said, "Mum, my feet are all wet," and went down to investigate. And 2 areas of the house at diagonal opposite ends were seeping water.
No faults were found when she conducted a building inspection before buying. Denise now having to choose between a $100,000 repairs bill or demolishing her pride and joy.
The insurance restorer turned up and he looked quite ill, and he said to me, "I've got a confession to make. I was here only 3 months ago and the entire downstairs of this property was flooded." And that was while the house was under contract to me and I was waiting for my finances to go through.
Information about a property's past permits and problems is outlined in a 337 certificate. Only Tasmania and 2 other states are yet to make compulsory.
It's purely up to the purchaser as to whether they request a 337 certificate or not, as opposed to other mainland states where the onus is on the vendor to disclose any issues associated with the property prior to listing.
Tasmania's local government association has been lobbying for change since 2016. Labor now joining the fight.
Would make sure that consumers are protected, that they're provided with the full sheet of information upon purchase of a property.
The government says while they have some protections in place, it's up to the public to do its due diligence.
As a homeowner, I would like to think that we as a government are always open to making sure we've got best in breed and the most contemporary laws.
Small comfort for Denise. Brianna Boylan at 7 Tasmania News.
The Tasmanian company is making more waves worldwide with its cutting-edge maritime simulation. The innovative equipment uses artificial intelligence to help train would-be ship captains and has interest from a number of companies and countries.
It just feels the same as being on the actual ship. So high fidelity, high immersiveness. That's what is the key difference.
This simulator is the first of its kind and was made possible by an advanced manufacturing growth grant. A new round of funding is now available, with businesses able to access up to $100,000. Another day of more than 100 bus cancellations has continued to wreak havoc for metro commuters in the south of the state. Labor has called on the Transport Minister to intervene and put forward a plan to alleviate pressure on the system.
People are late to their shifts to work, people are late to school, people are late to participating in the community and the social inclusion that goes with that. Some Tasmanians have no other transport option apart from metro.
The opposition is calling for more transit officers to be employed and screens to be installed to protect passengers and drivers. Queenstown's famous gravel oval has received a shout out on the world stage, with one of the country's brightest stars shining a light on Aussie rules. Kate Blanchette was on US talk show Jimmy Kimmel Live last night, educating Americans about the unusual surface.
Yeah, and my cousin played in Tasmania where it's so hardcore that they play on gravel.
Is that true?
Yeah, so, I mean, the Super Bowl, it's like, you know, they take a few hits, but you go to Tasmania and they play real football.
On gravel?
On gravel, yeah.
Sure do. Home to the Queenstown Crows, the historic oval is 142 years old. A threatened species has now found a comfortable home inside the Beaumaris Zoo site, 100 years on from its official opening. Despite being extinct in the wild on mainland Australia, Tasmania has proven to be the perfect spot for the family of eastern barred bandicoots.
What's really great about the Beaumaris Zoo site is it's fenced from dogs, which means that they are much more protected within the enclosed site of the zoo.
Over 80 years after the zoo closed, it's actually now become a sanctuary for animals again. I think it's a really delightful, twist of fate.
Locals are encouraged to keep an eye out for the animals in their own backyards in a hope to increase survival rates. The Longford Motorama is set to be bigger and better than ever, with organisers making a significant announcement today. Formula One world champion Alan Jones will be attending each day, joined by Ambassador Neil Kearney.
Alan jumped at the chance to come down. His father, Stan Jones, raced at Longford and actually won the 1959 Grand Prix. And Alan, as a 12-year-old, was there to celebrate that, and he says today that pretty much spurred him on to do what he did.
The family-friendly event will feature an array of historical motor vehicles from the 1958 to 63 era, along with other classics at Woomers Estate, while motor enthusiasts will also be able to jump in the hot seat, taking a ride around Symonds Plains on Sunday, March 12. Tasmanian artists and actors are putting the final touches on their performances ahead of Monophoma. Hobart's version is set to stage one of the most salacious plays in history, while one dancer is turning to an unlikely substance to get her point across.
Putting the foam in Monophoma, the spongiest of substances stepping in to help express some hard concepts.
The foam is a really incredible material. It's impressionable and it also holds its shape. It's light, you can jump on it, roll on it, throw it around.
Body commodity is one of the offerings at this year's Monophoma. Choreographer Jenny Large tackling consumerism and how it affects women, all through dance.
Be expected to go on a bit of an emotional roller coaster with the performers.
It's taken 3 years to get this work to the stage. Sound designer Anna Whitaker, full of praise for the event, saying it provides a platform for experimental art.
It's very adventurous, it's very exciting, and it engages new and daring work.
Also keen to push the boundaries is a play so controversial it was banned.
And then when they first tried to put it on in 1920, the play was, well, the writer was arrested.
The reimagined show, set in Hobart during Dark Mofo, follows the love lives of 10 couples and what they get up to in their private time.
They're so different and unique, these characters, and some of them are really ambitious, some of them are just wild and feral.
Despite being more than 100 years old, creators are confident the show will still push the envelope.
There's not sex in every scene, but there's sex acts in some scene, and some are described or referenced and some are too dangerous or difficult or disgusting.
Monophoma kicks off in Launceston on Friday. Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
Stepping onto MyState Bank Arena for one last training session, the Jack Jumpers say they're excited for tomorrow's sudden death clash against the Breakers. They weren't willing to give away too many secrets, but are confident a Game 2 win is in their grasp.
It's a do-or-die dash to defend the island, with the Jack Jumpers ready to fight back against the Breakers.
I want to win. Feeling loose, excited, yes.
Training ahead of tomorrow night's clash, the game plan for Game 2 is to play Jack Jumper basketball.
Well, I'm not going to tell you all our best secrets because, you know, we're going to have to keep that on the down low for New Zealand.
We've mulled over different tactical stuff over the last 24 hours, both with the group and with the coaching staff, but, you know, ultimately it's about doing what you do well and doing it harder and better.
They're hoping to bounce back from a 20-point defeat across the Tasman Sea.
I think a lot of the damage was done from ourselves. We were a bit loose with the ball, we're not physical enough, so there's a few key areas we can tighten up.
A battered and bruised Josh Majette making a return to the court today, lifting the spirits of his teammates.
He had the glasses on with the little chipmunk. He was looking cute, and it was good to see him out here having a laugh and talking some smack.
A full house is expected at MyState Bank Arena, with the JJs to don the heritage jersey.
I'm really excited. I mean, playing in front of these fans is my favourite thing in the whole world. So getting to come out tomorrow night and know that every shot matters.
The series is where it's supposed to be. We're 1-0 down, home court keeps the stand, and yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow night.
Their last shot to keep the JJs championship hopes alive.
Good evening. Hobart and Launceston recorded 26 today, Devonport 22 and Burnie 23. The top, however, was 27, experienced by the residents and the random visitors to Campania, Grove, Bushy Park and Ouse, and probably Wayatina. King Island 26, Flinders Island, Friendly Beaches and Strawn all 25 degrees. Some patchy low cloud was spotted over the northeast today as a band of fast-moving high cloud moved over Tasmania. The eastern tropics found thick cover too, with thunderstorms over inland Queensland and eastern WA. Tomorrow, a low forms over the Gulf of Carpentaria with troughs all over the place up there. And closer to home, though, we'll still have that happy high pressure hovering over us, which is great news. Winds northwest to northeast at 10 to 20 knots, a bit softer over the east and inland, swells to 3 metres in western and southern waters. So to tomorrow we go, and partly cloudy weather, Hobart 28, same for Cygnet, New Norfolk partly cloudy and 29 degrees. Launceston 29 and partly cloudy, bit of cloud over Devonport but fine, and 25, 28 the high for Campbelltown. Top temperature for Burnie tomorrow, 23, 28 for Strawn, cloudy day for Smithton, 25 degrees. And along the east coast, 26 for St Helens, Swansea up to 27, 28 inland there at Fingal. UV peaking at 9, and that's very high. On Friday, finer mostly sunny as the warm weather continues. A slight drop in temperature on Saturday with a possible shower developing over the west and south, and a shower or two over the west and far south on Sunday, easing during the day. Sunny and warm in Perth tomorrow, sunny and hot in Adelaide, partly cloudy and 35 in Melbourne. Fine weather also for Canberra and Sydney, 30 degrees tomorrow in Brisbane. Fine and cloudy at the moment, 22 in Hobart, 22 in Launceston, and currently in Devonport it's 20 degrees. That'll do me for now, Kim, and for the rest of the week and for most of next week.
You do love a day off, and happy anniversary to you and Donna also.